In. I'm Sean Ventura, the host of the Lights Camera Pro podcast. Today we are here with Alexandra FAYE SADEGHIAN. Did I say it right? Okay. I never get people's names right, so I'm happy I got that one. How are you, Alexandra? Good.
How are you?
I'm doing good. So I'm excited to talk to you because you do a lot of different things. I love people who do different things. You're an actor. You also produce stuff. You're the head of production for your own production company. We have a million things we want to talk about. We want to hear some stories. This is going to be really fun. I just want to get to a couple of quick advertisements for some partners. Everybody, we've got on the screen here Restream and ECAMM's logos. I'm going to talk about them a little bit. I'm going to show a little ad for Restream and talk over it. This is Restream, and it takes your live broadcast and sends it to several places at once, like I am doing today. And it also has a live studio, which is very cool, which I've also used for my interview with Anya from Restream, which I did last week, which was a lot of fun. And then, oops, I just muted myself. ECAMM Live is the software that I'm using, which you're going to see that we're going to show Alexandra's demo. We're going to show some stills from some of the movies she's done. It's a very cool software. It's like having your own TV studio. And in your live link that you're watching right now, you can go to the comments section or the description underneath, and there's a affiliate link for ECAMM and a link for Restream if you want to check them both out. So do that. Hey, Alexandra. So let's go to our first question, which is always, how did you get started in the film and television industry? Like, what started you off?
So it started mostly around, like, I guess, what are you, 13 when you start high school? Like 12, yeah. 13, I guess. Or what are you, like 15? I don't know.
Something, yeah.
So you're something like that. You're young teens or tweens. So I found drama class, and I had always like played pretend. I played Barbies and played with dolls and action figures until I was like 13.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to spend hours just like making up scenarios and like acting out. I would be like crying with them, and I'd be like, in it all day. I would do that. And then I found drama class, and then I was like, oh, that's what I've been doing.
Right.
So then I started doing that, and I followed that throughout high school. So I used to spend hours. And then I was also in what is it called when you do like the school web show in the mornings?
Oh, like the TV news or whatever?
Yeah.
Is that the announcement, or is it the...
Like it is an announcement. It's like a morning announcement, only it's through TV. And
okay.
You also have like all the news that's happening in school, and people are interviewing, and you see short skits and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I started to realize that I had two passions, and that was, media and acting. And then I remember doing a film for the first time ever, probably junior year of high school, and people were like, oh, you're good at this, like on screen. And
right.
I was like, oh, okay, I think this might be the place where I need to go. So when it came to school, I had two schools that I was talking to, and I ended up going with the Film Academy just because the film aspect. So it blended the two.
Okay.
So that's how I kind of found it. It was my outlet, the way like sports or music is for somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was an actor for 10 years, had a small theater in San Francisco, did a bunch of original plays. So I loved the theater, and I just saw Hamilton for the first time.
Yeah,
me
too.
It is amazing.
I've been listening to the soundtrack.
I've been playing the soundtrack. It's so dorky. My girlfriend went to the touring show, and she was like, you got to watch this because you love theater. I was like, I don't know, maybe. And I just thought it was amazing. So I love theater.
I didn't expect to love it.
I didn't either. I totally didn't. And it was so amazing. I recommend it highly to everybody. I have 17-year-old twin girls and a 15-year-old son. I'm trying to get them to watch it. And they're like, Dad, no. Thanks.
It's so popular, though. And the music's popular, too. That's surprising.
I know. They're too cool or something. I don't know. They'll watch it later in life. It's amazing.
When they get older and they get over that.
Being cool.
Too cool phase.
So you moved to New York in 2015. I saw your bio on IMDb or on your website. So what was that like, going to the big city?
So I definitely didn't expect to move to New York. I have a lot of family out in LA, so I actually planned to move to LA, but then the schools that I ended up talking to were in New York. And I was like, I guess I'm going to New York. And I really had never thought about it. And I didn't really know what I was getting into.
Yeah.
And then I got here and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much going on.
It's so
It
amazing.
took me a little while to like acclimate because it's fast paced.
It's super, super fast paced.
I went to high school. I moved around a lot, but I had right before I moved here, I was in South Carolina.
Okay.
So that is a slower city. It was a very, very big pace change.
Yeah, I went to San Francisco first after college because everybody's like, don't go to New York, it'll swallow you whole and kill you, and don't mess with it. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll try San Francisco for a while.
Yeah.
And then it was true, man. New York, I worked for the Blue Man Group and made some short films there. And it's just, there's so many people and they help you and things just happen faster. Like, in San Francisco, I was like, come on, guys, let's make something. And it would take like 4 weeks to have a rehearsal because everybody was just like hanging out or smoking pot or whatever they were doing.
Like, we're just having fun.
Yeah, dude, we'll do it later. Just relax. Everybody relax.
Why aren't you doing more?
Well, you do a lot, right? So, I mean, we're going to get into it later. But
I mean,
acting, producing, a production company. I mean, you do a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think New York makes you do a lot of stuff. Either that or you get forgotten. Yeah,
definitely.
Pretty quickly.
Okay.
And you have to learn how to like help yourself, I think, here more than a lot of cities. Because, I mean, people will help you, but they're not going to hold your hand. They're going to help you if they know you're trying to help yourself, I feel like.
Right. If you're passionate about stuff.
Yeah.
And it's almost like
you're hustling.
If you try and make a short film or even a feature film in Georgia, where I am, in Atlanta now, it's molasses. But if you tried to do it in New York, you just know so many people and have so many resources and there's so many people who shoot, and it's just, things just happen faster. Okay, so let's start with your demo. I've got your demo here. We're going to play it full screen with audio, and we'll talk about I think there's 3 different scenes in there, and you can talk about each movie that you're in and describe it. Is there anything you want to say before we play it, or?
I think my favorite clip is the one from Chain of Gold. So that one's going to be towards the end.
Okay.
There's like a short jokey clip in there at the end as well. That was a fun promo we did for a film I'm actually EDing.
Okay.
But yeah, let's go ahead and watch it.
All right. Here we go. Let's see. Yeah.
God damn it, this is not a joke!
Maybe, but mind controlling is.
No, it's not.
Says who? Penn and Teller?
Me! I know, firsthand! You don't have to believe me, but it's true. If I can prove it, will you represent her? I'll owe you.
What?
I'll owe you a favor.
What kind?
Any kind. It could also be a severe vitamin D deficiency. The patient has a restrictive diet, spends hours indoors, became hypocalcemic, got tetany and photophobia.
Are you saying I shouldn't do the angio?
Dr. Fleming ordered it. The other residents wanted. Of course we should do it.
I'm just saying, we're right to delay the angio and break into the patient's house to check his living conditions.
We're trying to save his life. I know you hate my partner.
I don't hate your partner.
Or at least his antics. But you cannot deny his results. He closes on everyone. Just like he closed on Bigsby.
He broke the rules.
Bent the rules. We all do for the greater good.
When I walk in shadow. When I love in secret. But I slay in fire and gold.
So I hope I don't embarrass you, but you're a really good actress. I really liked your demo. I was just watching Mindhunter, and I felt like that little FBI scene. You could be on a TV show. Is that the goal for you, to be in movies and TV as an actor, or to run your own production company, or what is the goal?
So I would say the goal is obviously, like, I'm open to TV as well, and I'm currently working with like a few people on some stuff in that area. But I love indie film. So indie film is kind of like my main goal as an actor, and also as a producer. I think it's mostly to be acting in projects, but also in charge of creating content, so that, you know, it doesn't get censored by a million different people. So we can put out art. You know, the artists I know are beautiful, unique people, and they don't need their work censored. So that was a big part about me producing in the indie scene. In terms of acting in the indie scene, I love the freedom that you get on set, as opposed to, oh, we're not allowed to say that. Oh yeah, this will sell better. You know, you get to make what you want. So that would be, I think my goal, the main goal is to act and produce in the indie film scene, and then acting in the television scene a little bit as well.
Right. So I guess that answers the question, but I guess I have another question, because I interviewed a director, Jim Issa, who I just posted the other day, his audio interview, and he made a movie with Luke Perry, and he made a Lifetime movie, and he's doing the independent thing, and he is trying to raise money now for other movies. And then I talked to Justin O'Neill Miller, who I'm posting Friday, and he's an art director for these huge movies like Christopher Nolan's Tenet, and the Rock's new movie Black Adam, which is a DC superhero movie, like Walking Dead show, like massive stuff. So, like you said, I worked as a grip on features in New York and a little bit in Boston, and you're absolutely right. I worked on a lot of independent things, and you have the ability to do more, absolutely, and you're not censored by the studio or whatever. But it would also be fun to go back and forth between some huge movie, and you'd probably be able to finance your independent films.
I think that's probably the goal for a lot of people is, you know, of course, like these big studio movies, you make so much money.
Right.
You know, and you do take a pay cut working in the independence. It depends on the independent scene too, because that ranges anywhere from like a no budget movie to like a $5 million movie plus, you know, like everything's like independent now. So it's going to be a balance between working on like these projects that are good for my career as an actor and good financially, so I can create more stuff. And then obviously creating stuff so that you can be a voice, and there's a big market now for all the small voices, not just like the main voice of the world. Right. So that's a big part of Paralysis, which is the production company I own with my boyfriend, is that we want gritty movies. We want movies that make you feel uncomfortable, that make you feel something.
Right.
Maybe not always uncomfortable, maybe sometimes just to entertain, but you should feel something or think something different when you leave a movie. Yeah. So that's the goal.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so we've got some stills here from some of your movies, and you were just talking about Paralysis, so I'm just going to bring up... There's a photo in front of you. I don't know if you're seeing it on your phone, but it shows your boyfriend Isaac is the director and co-founder with you, and you're the head of production for Paralysis. And can you talk a little bit about working with him and how you guys started it?
So we started it because we saw the need to create our own stuff. He's been an actor for a long time. He was undergrad in Davis, California, and then he went to Columbia for grad school as an actor, and he was working a lot. And then he realized, he's like, I'm not doing the stuff that, you know, sets my soul on fire. Right. I'm doing stuff that's just kind of like, hey, I'm a cop. Like, hey, you know, whatever. Great paycheck. but it's not the reason he got into acting. So that was a big thing. We met through actually a production company that it's not, it does not have the means to do what it says it does.
Right.
So he was basically promised a lot of things by this company, and we met through, I was actually working for them. So I was the one that told him they're not going to be able to do this stuff because I know.
Right.
So then, you know, we started dating, and after a while we're like, we need to, and he's a screenwriter and actor, and he also directs.
Okay.
So he will write stuff, and then we'll put it together and create it a lot of times. And, you know, he writes stuff that is pretty intense.
Okay.
It's good. I mean, but it ranges. There's, you know, there's drama, but there's also, like, you know, some lighter kind of tramp style, what is it called? Silent film stuff that he writes as well. So it goes back and forth between really gritty, edgy, and like kind of fun and light and magical. So that was the start of Paralysis, was basically saying, like, we need to take this into our own hands because we can't really rely on anybody, because nobody's going to work as hard for you as you are.
Right.
So that was the biggest thing, definitely.
Right. And I think you guys are so smart to do that, because I can't tell you, I've talked to everyone from writers for Family Guy, and people worked on That 70s Show, and people who work on huge feature movies, and they all said the same thing. If nobody's calling you, make the stuff yourself. And
yeah.
And that's what I absolutely did too with my theater and my short films, was make a bunch of plays and make a bunch of short films, because nobody else was calling me to make them. So, and you learn so much, and it's absolutely amazing to, it's some of the best memories of my life are working on those plays and those short films and the people that I've met. But can you talk about, you did a short, I don't have it in front of me right now, with Paralysis. What was it called?
So this was actually a trailer for a book called Chain of Gold. So this is the same author as the Mortal Instruments series.
Okay.
They came out with some bigger movies based on, like, City of Bones, that kind of stuff. Her name's Cassandra Clare.
Right.
So we were hired to create a trailer for this new book, because book trailers are a thing, which I never really knew.
Right. Yeah, I've seen a couple for James Patterson books, but yeah, I didn't know either.
So basically, it is a promotional clip to bring this world to life for a second, so to entice the readers. I mean, honestly, she has so many readers, like dedicated readers already. She probably doesn't even need it.
Right.
But she's like, but I can make it, and she wants to see it come to life. So that was a really cool one, because I actually knew about this world that she's created with the shadow hunters and stuff, and how they fight demons. So these shadow hunters have these rune tattoos, which you can see in the video, and they can see demons.
Okay.
And they basically fight the demons. So this new series is set in Edwardian times, I believe. Yeah, Edwardian. Okay. So that was definitely new. Neither Isaac nor I had ever done a period piece. He had done some on stage, but in film, it's definitely a completely different animal. So we had an awesome crew that was really patient and helpful, and we had some great extras that were really dedicated to, like, just making it come to life. So that was a really awesome experience for us.
Very cool. It came out very cool, and I was like, oh, I want to see this movie. Where's this short film? And I was like, oh, it's a book. Oh, okay. But maybe if they make it into a movie, you'll be the lead.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. So what was your character's name in that? Who?
Cordelia.
Cordelia, the shadow hunter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's half Persian. It actually ended up really funny. I wasn't supposed to be her. I was just supposed to be a producer.
Okay.
And she's half Persian, half English, and I'm half Armenian, which my family lived in Iran.
Okay.
So they speak Farsi as well. They eat a lot of Persian food. I'm very close to being Persian, basically.
Right.
So, and I'm half white. So I was the same ethnicity. And we were finding this character is supposed to have red hair. And we didn't know her ethnicity in the beginning when we started doing this. Nobody ever disclosed the ethnicity. They just said redhead. and they gave us like a picture, but it looked
Oh.
like just a white girl. And we're searching for these actors, and we bring them to the author, and she's like, no, they're all white. We're like, yeah, you asked for redheads, and you gave us this photo. And she's like, no, she's half Persian. And we're like, oh my God. So we put a wig on me, and
Okay.
we send it off. She's like, yeah, she works.
Nice.
So that was surprising, but we were also, it was a lower budget production, so we were wearing a million different hats. So it was a long day.
Right.
It was going to be a long day without having to act.
Right.
But it was we got a fun experience from it. And I got red hair for a long time from that, because Isaac, since he was directing, was like, no, the wig looks fake.
Oh,
And
so you had to dye it?
So I was like, all right, well, let's do it. So yeah.
Okay, very
I
cool.
had red hair for a few months.
So I don't have a picture of it because it's kind of graphic, the picture, but the short with the guys with the guns and the knives at the guy who's tied up, what is that that Paralysis did?
Oh, okay. So that is it's a concept trailer for a pilot, Turf, and it's an Asian gang pilot.
Okay.
So my boyfriend Isaac is half Japanese, so he was really inspired by growing up half Japanese and being seen as like kind of Asian, but also he looks white.
Right.
To anybody that doesn't know what half Japanese looks like,
Right.
like I didn't know,
Right.
and I thought he was just white.
Right.
So basically, he wrote a character, and that's him actually in that trailer.
Oh, that
The
is
guy that
him.
was
I
tied
thought
up.
that. Okay, I thought it looked like
Yeah.
him from the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically about a guy who has run away from his family, and he is in I think Chinese mafia. It's very complicated. He's Japanese, half Japanese, and it's like a Chinese mafia sort of situation.
Okay.
So like the head of the mafia doesn't like him, but he's also dating the daughter, and then he's also in the police force. So it's a very complicated little web.
Right.
But it's that's definitely on our list right now we're prepping to make our first feature. So we're going to start fundraising for that one in the next month and a half. And after that, we're going to start expanding to more stuff.
Okay.
So that one's we'll probably make that pilot soon after.
Okay, so hold on. I have a million questions.
Yeah.
So I saw something on your Facebook about, is it the Red Barn movie that your feature is going to be, or is it something else? Said something about Red Barn movie with, it was a horror movie, and you said it was a great script or something. Is that, what is the feature that you're going to do? Can you not say?
Oh, so that, no, I mean, I can talk about it a little bit. We haven't started promotion for that at all. If it was another feature, it was something not me producing. It was probably just me acting in.
Okay.
But it's a working title. Right now, it's called Buried. So it's loosely actually based on a lot of my experiences moving to New York City. It's way more exciting than that, though. It's just, obviously, Isaac as a writer was like, oh man, I need like a girl's insight for this one, because the main character is a female.
Okay.
So the intention, it's been written so that I play the lead, and then we're going to maybe have Isaac play the second lead, and then surround us by some awesome New York City actors, and just get it made and get a cool story out there. It's a very gritty story about a girl fighting through domestic violence, depression, homelessness, very, very New York things,
Okay.
and also ignorance, which is a really big issue right now.
Yeah.
So
in the world.
Yeah. So it's a very diverse cast. We have we have a veteran, an Iraq veteran that is Middle Eastern, who is, separated from his family, obviously discriminated against a lot. We have a Black gay fashion designer that is constantly fighting for his rights to do anything. And obviously with his mother about being gay, he fights with her a lot. So that's a really big issue. The main character's name is Bella. So she's like half Armenian like me, but she looks white. So she still has that white privilege, but she still tries to like, you know, talk about how, you know, she's like, well, I've had it rough. And all of these surrounding characters, there's also a character that's an immigrant that is sending money back to her family in Mexico. And at one point, you know, she gets checked by one of the characters, and they're like, you don't have any clue, like, how hard your life would be if you didn't look the way you did. You know, so you can't, you know, and it's a very, very relevant theme that the story talks about. But all these different people come together and they become like this family, this weird dysfunctional family, all in New York. So it's definitely a New York movie.
Right. And you're going to shoot it in New York?
Between New York and New Jersey.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a short film in New York called Faith, and it was like a love triangle, but just, it was 20 years ago also, but it just shooting in New York and trying to, like, I don't know if the rule's the same now, but back then, if you had a camera that wasn't on a tripod, you could shoot in the subway.
Yeah. Ish.
Yeah, ish. That's what we did. We did guerrilla stuff, like, and then we'd just shoot in the street, and sometimes cops would come up to us and would be like, "Oh, it's a student film for NYU or whatever."
Yeah.
And that's how we would get away with it. I remember. I'll tell you a quick story. I was doing a spec spot because I was working in advertising, a kind of like a Sopranos type thing of a guy getting out of prison, and I went and shot it with a couple cameras at Sing Sing. It's actually the Austining prison, but which is where I lived after I left New York. I lived in the suburbs, and we're sitting there shooting this guy, and the door's opening, and this actor, and he's acting like he's walking out, and like 10 guards come out and come up to us, and they're like, "Give us your camera now!" And I'm like, "This is just a student film for NYU," and they're like, "Give us your camera now. We're gonna. You could be planning an escape. You could be planning to break someone out." And I was like, "What? We're just shooting." So I said, "I will give it to you, but I'm telling you." And I showed them my ID, and we showed our IDs, and they're like, "All right, just get out of here, but don't come back here anymore." I was like, "Oh, okay."
It's we're planning to shoot as much as we can not in New York, to be honest. Because we have a lot of friends that actually work in the Jersey film scene, and we want to work with them. And you know, it's about splitting it between the two, because we have to obviously get all the exteriors in New York.
Right.
So at least like 30% of the movie will have to be shot in New York.
Right. Exteriors, yeah, you can do that, and then move inside to apartments or buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. So I have a question.
Yes.
What is, and it looks like a nun picture, but can you see it? Are you looking at the website, or should I describe it to you?
The nun picture, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, you've got the cross on. You look. What is that? Is that part of the book, or is that something else?
No, that was a. There was this movement to make a statue of Mother Cabrini. She's like the immigrant saint.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so she was a really big figure for New York City, actually.
Okay.
So there was a vote to make a monument, and she actually won. But for some reason, they didn't want to make a statue of her. So then we had a lot of artists that were talking about doing that, and the artist I ended up pairing up with to make this documentary is Sergio Funari, and he is a terrific sculptor, very big, well known for his sculptures and also his pools. So he was bidding to make the statue, and it's about the journey. It talks about Mother Cabrini, and you know, she was a very selfless woman, basically.
Was she like a saint? Was she sainted?
She was a nun.
Okay.
And she came over and she started so many like schools and orphanages and all of this stuff. So I was basically just involved acting as Mother Cabrini in the project, and he was the sculptor for it.
Okay.
So he talks about why he got connected. You know, he's like, as I was sculpting this woman, he's like, I felt like, he's a very, very eccentric man. He's like, I felt her spirit and, like take over. And he's like, and I knew I had to make this statue. So, he's still working towards doing that. And right now, I'm actually not even sure where he's put the documentary, to be honest. I think online somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
So
you
that's
made it
about-
into a documentary about this woman. And
Yeah,
Okay.
It's about him as a sculptor, but also talking about Mother Cabrini a little bit.
okay, very cool.
Yeah.
And what is this film with the hat? What you look almost Russian or something. You've got like a black hat on.
Oh,
and,
okay. So that was God, that was like in 2015. That
Okay.
I shot that.
Okay.
That was in school. So
Okay.
I was playing. It was, you know how in film school everything is so melodramatic.
Right.
So everything is about like drugs or depression or struggling with your family issues or your
Right,
sexuality
right.
or something like that. So this one was about depression, and in that my boyfriend had died. And I was basically it was actually really fun because I was climbing around a rooftop, and I actually we got a shot of me like up. It was terrifying. It was so scary, but we're students like up on the ledge,
Oh my God.
basically. So it's about her. It's a very artsy film.
Right.
It's about her choosing not to kill herself, basically, over this issue, knowing that he will be with her still. Like the memories will still be there, but it turned out very pretty.
Right.
So I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's a great shot.
Mm-hmm.
I interviewed, this is an aside, but I interviewed this guy, Jenin Gonzalez,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a stuntman, and he got paid for movies to jump from rooftop to rooftop. You know how they do
gosh,
that movie?
parkour.
Yeah, he's doing parkour, and he would
Yeah.
jump off these parking decks and land in like a big padded thing, and he was doing stuff with fire. It was crazy. It was crazy what he was doing. I was like, dude, you need to get paid like 50 grand to do this.
So much
like,
more, right?
Yeah, you're risking your life here. What if you slip? He's like, well, you do it a bunch of times, and then on the ground, and then I'm like, still, it could be
You just
wet.
don't die.
Yeah, just don't die.
Just don't die.
Yeah, otherwise you're in the news. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
so we talked a little bit. So what was the website that you did? You did a website for a film, part of Paralysis, or it was like a
Last Shot.
yeah.
Is that the one you're talking
Yeah.
about? So Last Shot is a film that we are probably going to make after we make Buried. It'll probably be our third project.
Okay.
Third feature project after Buried.
Okay.
So that one is about a minor league baseball player that has done it right his whole life. Never really messed up. He doesn't drink. He eats well. He works out. He's like, the model baseball player.
Right.
And he's, getting up to, he's like 28 at this point. And he's still in the minors, and he's making like less than $1,000 a month. And he has a kid and another one on the way. And he's just like, his wife's like, we need to do something. Like, you need to get a job. And he's like, no, I can make it. So it's about him choosing to do steroids. And basically, it's a film to show you why these athletes may want to do steroids or feel like they need to do steroids to kind of get the leg up.
Yeah.
Because what happens is it actually comes to him from the doctor of the team.
Right.
And he says, like, I can help you. And, I can help you excel and get you to the majors. And he's like, well, how? And then he realizes how many people on the team are actually on steroids. So it's all happening, the doctor will like shut the blinds and stuff and say like, okay, here we go. And then the guys will be working out, they'll be all juiced up and stuff, and then they'll make it to the majors. And it shows you, because we all hate on athletes that do this. We hate on people that choose this kind of stuff.
Right.
If someone does drugs, someone does steroids, whatever, we're like, oh, why would they ever do that? Well, this is kind of a film to talk about. Not that it's a good thing to do or the right thing to do, because nothing good happens, you know, in the long run for this guy.
Right.
But it does, in that moment, help him. And it makes, you know, like it makes you understand that he feels like he's never going to make it unless he does what all the other guys are doing. So it's about peer pressure, kind of.
Right.
So it's a little bit eerie because of that, because you're like, oh my God, you know what he's going to do and you know what's going to come of it. But he also has a lot of pressure on him. And it's also, it was written kind of inspired by Isaac's journey as an actor. So Isaac's, he graduated grad school, I think like 10 or 15 years ago now. And as an actor, he's like, I'm never going to sleep my way to the top. I'm never going to do any of these things. I'm not going to, you know,
Right.
be that person. And he personally sympathizes with that whole story, because he's like, it feels like, because he has classmates that did do that.
Right.
And they made it on a TV show because they were sleeping with the director.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of, it's a parallel
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
So that was the inspiration for Isaac writing that story.
Right. It sounds like a really cool story. This is really dorky, this observation, but I somehow studied why people in the Major League Baseball league take steroids because I was trying to figure out why would you? Because what are you going to do? Like smash the bat harder? But it's all about ball speed, and it's all about getting the bat around faster. And if you take the steroids, you become faster with swinging your bat. And these pitchers pitch so fast in order for you to get that ball and knock it out of the park. I mean, there's a lot of other factors, but it's one of the things that helps. But my question to you and Isaac would be, because I've thought about doing sports movies and writing sports scripts, and I don't want to say I've given up, I've just gone to other things that were like an easier shoot. How are you going to do the stadium with all the people, even if it's minor league? I mean, you can replace it with computers and you can do it that way.
And especially now with COVID, like just the issue with getting extras together right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is years down the line that we're going to be making this.
Right.
But we don't really know what the world's going to be like in 3 years. So we've been talking a lot about, you know, using green screen, doing it in post, basically.
Right.
For the majority of it, just so we don't have to, because he was in King of Staten Island, and he was like, the majority of the extras that they did hire for these big stadium shots didn't even get used. You know, they were just there for free food.
Right.
Basically is what it felt like. So I think we would cheat it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And well, that's interesting because I saw some stills, because Pinewood Studios is down the street from me, and they did Avengers, and it was the final scene of Avengers Endgame is like 25 Avengers, and they're all on this rock, and they're fighting Thanos and all this stuff. And I saw it with my son, and it's all green screen. Like, they're not even at this place. They're not even there. And then The Mandalorian, what they're doing now for a lot of TV shows is they're using this 3D screen that's actually curved. And so he's standing there in the desert, but he's not in the desert. It's a projected, like, high-quality image behind him. Yeah. And they're just literally in a studio.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it does. If you think about it, it will save on the cost of feeding so many more people, transporting so many more people. And honestly, just right now with the state of the world, I don't ever want to put people in that situation where they would feel uncomfortable with, you know, the virus situation and stuff.
Right.
So we would make it work with as few people as possible.
I know Tyler Perry, which is also up the street, they just did 2 weeks to shoot a TV show, and nobody got COVID. But the baseball and the football teams and everybody's getting COVID on these teams. Yeah,
well, they were locked down in Tyler. So I have a friend that was on that show, and he was like, I'm in prison.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm completely locked down.
You can't get out.
I can't leave.
Yeah.
I live here. Like, they're all locked down.
Yeah.
So that's the only way to contain it, really, and make sure nobody's catching it, is just everybody stays there.
Right, but it's what supposedly is happening with the Major League Baseball in Florida, but there's still people getting it. So
yeah, but I guess you never know.
Yeah,
what people are
I
really
think this
doing.
thing is really tricky. Like, I thought it'd be over by now, but it's still going. It's like,
What it would have been over, I feel like, if we would have just committed to being like, all right, just put everything on hold. But we were just like,
no, we're
like,
going out to
it's
dinner.
okay.
Sorry.
Like,
We're going to the
yeah.
beach. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm angry because I can't go to dinner right now. Okay, you do your thing. Let's see what
All right.
happens.
Yeah.
So
Well,
now we're dealing with what happened.
look at the United States compared to the rest of the world. I mean, I don't want to get political, but it's crazy like how many more cases we have. It's absolutely insane.
We got really excited because we were like, all right, we're good. And instead of being like, yeah, we're out of the woods, we were like, we're almost out. Let's go.
But you're in New York, which
Yeah.
it was very locked down, and the governor
Yeah.
locked it down even more, and things got much better because it was crazy, and they had trucks of people dying, and now it's under
Yeah.
control. But are people? I'm not there. Are people still going to restaurants and
So
people still
there's
going
still-
out to
people are
bars?
practicing social distance. Yes. So bars are not open inside. It's just outdoor seating.
Okay.
So now, like, a lot of the parking spots on the streets and stuff are taken up with outdoor seating because most of these restaurants, they didn't have the space to do outdoor
Right,
seating
right.
anyway. But now there's an exception for this whole situation.
Right.
So people are hanging out in parks. You know, they're taking bottles of wine to parks. They're going to sit outdoors. And what they do is they just take the masks off when they're in their small groups,
Right.
like at a table.
Right.
So, I mean, not 100% of people in New York City are being perfect all the time, but I think, you know, we're trying.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep it low because we got hit pretty hard. So
Yeah.
we were like, okay.
Yeah. Hopefully, everybody learned from it, and it just seems. I'm in Georgia, and it's just. I don't want to say no one's wearing masks, but I would say about half the
Yeah.
people aren't, and they just sent some kids back to school, and a couple kids got it in one county. So it's really crazy. But let's be positive.
I know.
But
So
you know, I just read something the other day. We're gonna have a show about COVID. I just read something the other day that the vaccine is not going to be an end-all be-all. It's going to be a progressive thing, and it's not going to cure everything.
Probably.
Which is like, great. Oh, thanks, guys.
It's just like, I feel like everyone needs to know the world is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
And it's not going to just go back to normal. Things never just go back to normal. Like,
Right.
think about when you try to get back together with your ex and you're like, we're going to go back to like the way things were. It's never like that. It's the same way with COVID.
Right.
It's not going to be 100% normal, but we're going to modify and we're going to be okay.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we're going to go to advice and wrap it up. It's 2:45, but who is, I wrote what is, which is bad, but let me fix that while we're talking. Who is your favorite actor?
Ooh. Oh, man.
I mean, if you have to pick one, you could say a couple if you want.
So that's a really hard question. You know, I really always loved Johnny Depp when I was little. But I just had a really big crush on him from Pirates, I think.
Okay.
So that was a big thing. I think actress-wise, I really like Anne Hathaway. I really appreciate her career. Because she started in, like, you know, doing, like, I think...
The Disney princess.
Disney movie. Yeah. She started like that, and then she's done incredible things since. And she is a very well-respected actress. And she's got chops.
Yeah. Have you seen the one that's on Netflix? It's about love stories. It was taken from New York Times articles. I forget what it's called. It's called like Love Stories or Love in the Future or something, and it's all huge movie stars, and she plays a woman with bipolar disorder. And it's absolutely fantastic. It's just a little short. I think it's like 40 minutes or
okay.
But it's on Netflix. You can look it up.
Okay.
Anne Hathaway.
That'd be good to see. No, I didn't know anything about it.
And then she was just in, it's the girl from Pitch Perfect 3. She's blonde and she's kind of heavy. She was in a movie with her.
She plays Fat Amy. Oh, yeah. They're like,
so they're like scam artists. I forget, like Scoundrels or something it's called. And
she's hilarious.
It was funny. It was really funny. The both of them were hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And she's not too big on, like, she doesn't necessarily lead with her looks, which I appreciate. Because everybody on TV is beautiful. So it's like, you know, I feel like you've got to bring
something
you.
else. Yeah, something
And
authentic.
just like be like, it's fine, I'm good enough. Even if I'm not, Hollywood can make me good enough. And she's very big on like, she was never just coasting off of her looks, which I really appreciate.
Right. Okay, so let's wrap it up. This has been great talking to you, but let's wrap it up with advice you have for people who are just starting out or people who are switching careers as an actor. If they want to get into TV and film, what would you say to them?
Oh, this is good. Okay, so if specifically for being an actor, but I also think this applies to working in production as well, is you've got to do your own work. Like, you've got to make your own connections, find the work, because it's not looking for you.
Right.
Because people just think, and I think like old Hollywood gave people this idea that like you get discovered.
Right.
But I feel like everybody that's been discovered was trying to be discovered.
Right.
So they just maybe got lucky, but the majority of people, like, they've been working for years and they've been hustling really hard for years and doing good work and being good, like being a nice person on set as well. So I have a business coach that I go to. Her name is Valerie Hubbard. She's also an actress, but she owns a thing called Actors Fast Track. And she was the first one that actually told me, like, you don't need anybody but you. Like, you are in charge of your own business.
Right.
And you push yourself and you go to the buyers. Don't wait for someone to sell you. And that would be the biggest thing. Personally, everything I've done, I've got on my own. And that was from doing work, pitching myself, like, and working on my craft. And also like branding and stuff. I think that's important. So a lot of actors wait for managers, they wait for agents, they wait for casting directors, they wait for all these people that are like technically the gatekeepers to like the industry, because the people making stuff in the industry are the directors and the producers and the writers and actors,
right,
and everybody else on set, and everybody in post-production and stuff like that. So like those are your people. So go find your people and go, connect with them and show them what you can do, because every actor is waiting for someone to give them their big break.
Right.
Just, you got to go find your stuff.
And do you feel like it's easier now because, and I've heard this from some people in that work, I don't want to say Hollywood, but work in the industry, because of social media, because you can post your clips on YouTube, because you can come on the show, because you can make a website and show all of the things that you've done, and people are finding that stuff, and they're coming from all different places all over the world, not just New York, not just LA, and you don't have the gatekeeper saying, well, you know what, I think she's just a little bit too harsh, or
exactly.
You have a little bit more freedom now.
Yeah, more freedom. And I do think it's easier. Like Isaac talks to me about when he first started acting, he's like, headshots were black and white and we had to mail them out.
Yep.
And I'm like, how do you write a letter? I don't remember. I don't know how to write, like I have to look that up. I have to Google that.
Right.
I don't even know how to do that.
Right.
So now I can friend someone on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, or someone can find me on YouTube or through a movie I've done and find me through social media. It's that easy. Yeah. And if you're not taking advantage of the fact that it's that easy, like, then you don't want it, I guess.
Right.
Because it really is so much easier to like put everything online. And everything like integrates into each other. You're like, yeah, I can put this website here and all my stuff will like, it's great.
Yeah.
It's a great new world, but there's also a lot of competition. So you got to work on your craft and what makes you unique.
Yeah, and I think that when I was auditioning for commercials and films in my 20s and doing it in New York and San Francisco and Boston, I just felt like it was this huge wall. And I'm definitely older than Isaac, so I saw things before the black and white headshots, and it was all about looks, and it was all about like, for sure, the cheerleader and the football player or the square jawed guy, and that was it, and nobody else was coming to the party. Nobody else was going to play the game. It was just those were the two types of people they wanted all the time. They
Yeah,
wanted
it's like
Harrison
casting
Ford
directors.
and Kim Basinger is what they wanted.
Yeah, like that whole. But now the good thing is, like, everyone's beautiful, everyone's unique, everyone's cool, and we're living in a very progressive time, and hopefully getting more progressive. So, you know, there's still not enough work for minorities and for people that aren't like beautiful by Hollywood standards, but it's increasing. And you know, you see people on TV that you never would have seen on TV before.
Right, but I think also what's happening, and I see this with my kids, is that people are making stuff, and they might be a TikTok star, they might be a YouTube star, or they might, like my cousin's daughter is 17 years old. I'm going to interview her on the podcast because she makes music and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And she's releasing her own music, and she's 17 years old. She's been releasing it for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, I know she's really young. I know that I've already interviewed her dad, who wrote for That 70s Show and some other shows, but I got to do it. I got to interview this girl because she's super, super talented. Her music is amazing. I don't care that she's 17.
No, the age doesn't matter.
It doesn't, but for a lot of things, it's like, okay, well, wait till she's got a few albums, or wait until she's done a few movies.
Yeah.
Let's not. And that's kind of like, I was thinking of my podcast in this way when I started, which was, okay, we're going to talk to the people who have a long career and they're at the end of their career and they can give advice to people. And now I'm like, I'm just going to talk to anybody who's making stuff. And really the only criteria for me is you just have to do more than one thing. Like if you're just an actor or just a producer or just a writer, like it's more fun to talk to people who are doing diverse stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
People are able to make their own stuff, and that's amazing. Because then, I mean, this whole industry is so people can not feel alone, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know, you watch a movie and you're like, yep, I've been there. So the fact that everybody can make this stuff now, there's a voice for everybody, instead of just like, this is how you should feel in this big studio movie, and this is how you should look. Now we have a movie for everybody.
Right.
So
and that's
it's a great time.
It's a great time, and that's what's happening with YouTube. Is my kids have had televisions in their rooms for the last 5 years, and they haven't turned them on. They just watch YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat. They do not watch television. Television is going to be a totally different thing soon. And this is a TV show. We're basically doing Jimmy Fallon at 2:00 in the afternoon on Facebook.
Yeah, I know.
And we're not as famous as Jimmy Fallon and his guests, but yet, but it's kind of the same thing. We're just not in the same studio. So
yeah, absolutely.
Very cool, Alexandra. You've done some amazing stuff. You're doing all kinds of work, which is very exciting. And why don't you tell everybody at home where they can find your production company, and if they want to go to your YouTube channel and all that good stuff.
Okay. God, I feel like my name is so long. I hate telling people. So if you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram. You can ask me for all this stuff. You can find my IMDb from there. So my Instagram is Alexandra, ALEXANDRA FAYE 16.
Okay.
And if you want to find the production company, you can also check me out on Facebook, because I have a link to it on there. And my Facebook is just my full name, Alexandra FAYE SADEGHIAN. So it's ALEXANDRA space FAYE space SADEGHIAN.
Right. And just so you know, like I have a lower third with your name so they can see it.
Cool.
So everybody can see it. So everybody just freeze this frame or whatever and you can write it down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this. And I will say yes. And I will say that in a couple of months, because I've got a ton of episodes recorded, I'm going to make this into an audio podcast, and I will contact you and let you know when that happens. Cool. I'm going to share this all over social media. You do the same. And if you know any actors or producers or writers in New York that want to come on the show, let them know about it, and I'd love to talk to them too.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, you have a great day, and thanks for doing this,
too.
and take care. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.